All right, let's talk about making right turns at intersections where you have a light, but the different scenarios of the light. So the first scenario is when the light is green or you have no stop sign, right? So when you have no stop sign and it's technically like a infinite green light, and you have a green light. Okay, so now of course there can be an uncontrolled intersection, but we're talking about the generally larger intersections, you know, on the main roads where you're coming up and you don't have a light or you have a green light. So one of the first things is you need to signal well in advance of the intersection. Generally speaking, probably 30 meters back from the intersection, so at least 5 seconds before your turn, but no more than like 10-15 seconds, because then it just gets confusing as to where you're turning. Are you turning into this driveway? Are you turning into this driveway, right? So you don't want to be so far, signaling so far back where people are like, where is this car going? But I find, at least in Victoria, there's usually a telephone pole here and a telephone pole around here. And so just before the second telephone pole, I signal indicating that I'm about to slow down. So that's the other way you should think of it, or the better way to think of it is prior to my descent of speed. So before I slow down, I should signal to let people know, hey, I'm going to be doing something at this intersection. Then I move on to my rear view mirror check just to see who's behind me. I'm checking my side mirror to see if there are any cyclists further back that I can see, and I'm shoulder checking to see if there's anyone riding alongside me that I haven't seen in my side mirror. And as I approach, I go, is there a pedestrian using the crosswalk, right? So if I have a green light or I don't have a light at all, then it could be possible that a pedestrian is using this crosswalk right now. And if there is, then if they're walking towards my car or the path of my car here, then I need to yield the way to them. If I need to yield to them, then I need to wait here for them, right? And if I end up waiting for someone here, I need to shoulder check again prior to making the turn. Now, let's say these pedestrians are not here, and before you got here, you shoulder check right. Then it's just a quick scan to the left to make sure there's no one doing anything funny at the intersection. There's no high-speed police chase. No one's blasting through the red light, what have you, and I'm proceeding to make the turn. Now, a good speed for a right turn when it's nice and clear. So once I've done my shoulder check right, once I've determined that there's no pedestrians coming up to use this crosswalk, then it's 15 kilometers an hour into the first available lane. 15-20 is the general ballpark, depending on the size of the intersection. Now, if the light is yellow as I'm approaching the intersection, right, I should be thinking, oh, the light just turned yellow. I can safely stop before my stop line. So that's what I'll do. So because I signaled back here as I was approaching, as I was slowing down to make my turn, I realized, hey, the light is turning yellow. I should stop at this stop line. Why? Because once again, the person right across from me, they might be in the intersection waiting for a safe gap to complete this maneuver, right? And so on the yellow, what are they going to do? They're going to start inching forward to try to complete this maneuver. I don't want to just try to squeeze one more turn on a yellow as this person is trying to complete their maneuver. Now, if I'm already in the intersection, let's say as I was coming up, the light was green, and I've entered into the intersection, the light turns yellow, yeah, I'm going to finish my turn off, and this guy can tuck in behind me. But I don't want to push my luck and start a new turn on a yellow light that I could have safely stopped for. Okay. Finally, the right turn at a red light. I should be thinking as I'm approaching, okay, the light turned to red. So let me draw the red light in here. And the red light, I need you to memorize this, is that I don't have priority at this intersection. So if I'm going to make a right turn, I need to know for sure that there's no sign prohibiting me from making a right turn at a red light. if I see this sign here, and it says you cannot turn right on a red, then all bets are off. I just need to sit at this stop line until the light turns green, and then I'm back to dealing with this scenario here. I need to shoulder check right, and once the pedestrians are finished using the crosswalk, I make my turn. But let's say, for sake of argument here, there is no sign here prohibiting you from turning right on a red. So as I'm approaching this intersection, I signal to the right early. I check my rear view mirror, my side mirror, and I come up to make a full stop. Now, once I make my full stop, this is when I need to do my shoulder check to the right. If I do the shoulder check any sooner, what's the point? Because I have to stop anyway, so I need this shoulder check to be fresh. Now, if I have a red light, who's going to have a walk signal possibly? If I have a red light, usually the cross traffic here is getting a green light, and very often the walk signal comes on as well. So if there are pedestrians coming up to use this crosswalk, then I will not bother moving from my stop line. But let's say the pedestrians are finished crossing and my light is still red, I can then come forward and take the crosswalk up, or coming up right to the edge of the road. Okay, so right up to the edge of the second crosswalk line. So this is really the main reason why we're making a full stop here, is because we want to make sure no one's coming up to use this crosswalk. We've shoulder checked right, no pedestrians left to cross here, so I'm going to come up and take the crosswalk here. Now I can check to the left to see if there's any traffic coming my way. So we're doing our cross traffic check. Okay, and let's say there's a bunch of cars passing by, and I feel that, okay, after the blue car, I think I can go. As the blue car is passing in front of me, I need to once again shoulder check to the right, because that first shoulder check I did all the way back here before all of this happened has expired. So just before I make the turn, I need to shoulder check once more and then proceed to make the right turn into the first available lane. Now, remember what the red light is telling you. It's telling me I do not have priority at this intersection. Okay, so let's go over a little bit of math here. So I've come up to this point. Let me draw all of that again because it's important. My light was red. I made my full stop behind the stop line. I shoulder checked to the right to make sure there's no cyclist beside me. I checked to see that there were no pedestrians coming up to use this crosswalk here. And then I went forward to do the cross traffic check. And then I felt like, you know what, it's clear for me to turn. So I'm going to shoulder check right again and make the right turn. But I have to think before I make this turn, from when I leave here till I make it just into my turn, so just rounding this corner here, how many seconds does that take? That's going to take me 3 seconds to complete. How fast am I going after 3 seconds? I'm probably only going 20, 25 if I've made the turn smoothly. How many more seconds does it take for me to get up to 50? Well, if I want to get up to speed smoothly, probably another 5 seconds. So all in all, how long does this turn take? It's going to take me 8 seconds to complete, give or take a couple of seconds. Okay, so if I'm trying to make this right turn on a red light and it's going to take me 8 seconds to make the maneuver and get up to speed, the cars that are approaching need to be far enough that I'm not impeding their movement, because you have to remember, I have the red, they have the green, they have the right of way. So what's a safe gap? A safe gap is at least 8 to 10 seconds away. If you can't tell what 8 to 10 seconds of a gap looks like from cross traffic, think of it as about 100 meters away, okay? At least 100 meters away, or 3/4 of a city block. So pretty far away, right? You need to be able to turn and get up to speed without slowing this guy down. Now, do I need just one lane available, or do I need both lanes available here? Okay. You probably don't need a whole ton more room, or you don't need just about the same amount of room in the second lane. So if this car was, say, over here, you might be okay making the right turn into this lane. But you have to remember, there is a real threat that this person that's in this lane decides last second, I'm going to come into this lane and proceed in this lane. Then, if you're trying to make a right turn at a red light and he switches just before into this lane, even though this lane was clear before, then you might be impeding their movement. Okay, so when you're making the right turn, you need to be thinking about these things so that you're not cutting anyone off. We usually recommend waiting for 2 available lanes before you make a right turn. I had an examiner tell a student that you should have gone when you had this lane clear, but again, it's slightly varying opinion there, because again, so many times as you're making this right turn, we've seen people switch from this lane into this lane. So take that with a grain of salt. Don't necessarily trust people that are in this lane. Have a little bit more space in this lane than you think you need to, but you need a lot of space in the first lane, the closest lane, before you make that turn. Okay, and the other thing is, you don't want to be making the right turn into this lane as the other car is passing by, because it's so spooky, not only for you but for that car as well. So at a bare minimum, stagger your turns so that this car in the second lane is not passing you by as you're trying to make this right turn into the first lane. This concept also applies to all of this, what I just explained, also applies to when making a right turn at a regular stop sign. But I won't go into that, because this was making a right turn at intersections with lights.